Focused on students in kindergarten through 12th grade, Common Core is a set of educational standards in math and language arts. A majority of American states began implementing the Common Core state standards beginning in 2012, replacing a patchwork of academic standards that varied from state to state. The goal? Ensure all students graduate with the skills to succeed in college, career, and life, no matter where they live. Common Core asks students to demonstrate their critical thinking skills in reading and writing. For math, the focus is on real-world problems. But not every state adopted the standards, and some states have dropped out. There have been academic and political criticisms, with some calling it a plan to nationalize education. There are a number of aspects to the Common Core approach. Smarter Balanced testing is one of them.
The first time I took it, I didn't like it at all because it was very hard.
They told us it was definitely going to involve more thinking outside of the box.
8th graders Riley Stewart and Sabrina Tosh are talking about Smarter Balanced testing, a new and significant element of student assessments aligned to the Common Core state standards. Both are students at Elk Grove's Harriet Eddy Middle School. Previously, California students took annual standardized exams called STAR tests. The multiple choice, pencil, and paper exams help determine how well students were performing. With Smarter Balanced testing, annual assessments are done on computer. There are online tools, and teachers can also check a student's progress with additional online interim assessments that precede the annual tests.
The STAR test, I was so used to that having a big change was different and challenging. Before we had this testing, the question we always ask is, why do we need this? Why are we learning it? And now that we have it, they give us real-world situations, so we know why we're using it and we know why we need it.
It's not just, I'm going to give you an equation and you're going to solve it. It's more, I'm going to give you this worldly problem that you might face in the future, and you're going to have to use the equations that you've learned to solve it.
Stanford University's Dr. Michael Kirst has been instrumental in California's transition to Common Core and the new testing directions.
It is a more precise measurement of what students know. And so when you give, for example, the feedback to parents as to where their students are, you can really give a much more accurate reading than the older forms of testing.
In California, the Smarter Balanced assessments are given to students in grades 3 through 8 and again juniors in high school. The idea is to determine what students should know and be able to do at each grade level in reading, writing, and math.
I think that the inquiry base, the problem solving that's involved, I think all of that is going to improve. With English, we've been using the terms like the text-dependent questions and a lot of the skills associated with the exam. The students, they like the computer part of it. They like using those skills, the cross-curricular connections that are being made just very organically. That are happening, like I said, with that example in my classroom. That was exciting for me as a teacher.
The English Common Core test I really liked. I thought it made a lot of sense and it was pretty easy to follow, but I struggled more with the math one, mainly because I'm more of an English student. But the math one was a little bit harder for me because I had to read it a couple more times to interpret it.
Rockland High School senior Caitlin Silva says another significant difference in the Smarter Balanced assessments is something called computer adaptive testing.
The computer adaptive format means that a student answers a question, and based on their response to that question, the program selects the next question for them.
What it means is students obviously are taking the test on the computer, but as students answer a question, the next question for them gets harder if their answer was correct, or gets easier if their answer was wrong. And what that allows us to do is zero in on a student's learning area so we can get a much more precise measure of student knowledge.
As you might expect, the significant changes in teaching and testing brought questions from parents and students. Dorothy Haynes' daughter, Trinity, wanted to know more about Smarter Balanced assessments. Dorothy attended parent information meetings in Elk Grove, even reviewing online pre-tests with her daughter.
because especially for the math, it's not just knowing the content, but how to maneuver and use the website. And for example, for the math, they had a online calculator that they needed to use. So it was very different than using paper and pencils.
The shift to computer-based testing has not happened without problems or criticism. Some say students face too much testing, and technical or internet glitches have prompted some states to abandon such testing altogether. Education writer John Fensterwald says California's experience has been much more positive. He points out, however, it is a definite change from the past.
Primarily, it's an online test. That is new for a lot of students, particularly in districts that had not had a lot of computers. It required computing skills that some students hadn't had.
In the spring of 2016, 3.2 million California students took the Smarter Balance tests. Of those, just about half, or 49%, met or exceeded proficiency standards for English language arts. Only 37% did so for math. The California Department of Education says the state is still making the transition to the new standards and assessments.
These are different standards. These are much harder in many respects. And so, particularly for English learners and poor kids, there are significant gaps. And I suppose they're more honest and truthful about the status of education in California.
Testing results in the future may alter both Common Core directions and Smarter Balanced assessments. Adequate instructional materials and teacher training continue to be important in discussions on Common Core and Smarter Balanced testing.
It's going to take a while for our frontline personnel, which consists of 300,000 teachers and 10,000 or more administrators, to grasp this and to do it. You don't know early what's going to happen, so you adjust and try to continuously improve. And so our mottos on Common Core, Smarter Balanced, are patience, persistence, and humility.
They're just one component of a comprehensive assessment system that school districts and schools have. Teachers are assessing kids daily. We use other assessments throughout the year, and the Smarter Balance does provide us a summative and some formative tools to look at student learning and to make comparisons around how our academic programs perform, not just in an individual school or classroom, but throughout the state of California and throughout the nation.
Although computers have been used in schools since the 1960s, these were no modern laptops. The Vocational Education Act of 1963 provided federal funds for new technology, like mainframe computers that used punch cards for inputting information.